Alright, today we're going to go over the synth lead from deadmau5 Phantoms Can't Hang. And this is an interesting lead because it goes throughout most of the track, but it changes. It actually goes through 4 different stages. The notes stay the same, but the sound itself changes and layers, and it's a really interesting thing. Before we get started, I just want to quickly tell you about Syntorial. Syntorial is video game-like training software that teaches you how to program synth patches by ear. I designed it specifically to give you the ability to do what I'm doing in this video. Take a song you hear in your head or on another track and recreate it. It does this by combining video demonstrations with interactive challenges in which you program over 700 patches on a built-in soft synth. And you can try it for free. The first 22 lessons with our free demo. Just click the link that's popping up on the screen now. Now, Phantoms Can't Hang. So, as I mentioned before, the lead goes through 4 different stages. So, we'll start here. Starts with this sound. And repeats this for a while. And then eventually gets replaced by a more aggressive version. This repeats, and then they add a layer an octave higher. And then they bring in the trance lead. So we're going to start with that first lead over here. This guy. Now, we're going to use Synth 1 for this. Synth 1 is a free synth that you can download with the link that's popping up in your screen now. And it's available as a VST for Mac and PC, and they just released an audio unit version for you Logic users. So just click the link on the screen and you can download it there. And our first step is initializing it. Now, I've created this initialize patch. And you can download this patch along with all these other patches and the MIDI files for this from the link that's popping up in your screen now. It's going to take you to a page with this video and the download link. And when you're there, you can subscribe to our newsletter and we'll send you to a new page that's got this tutorial along with a bunch of other video tutorials, interactive stuff, all sorts of synth goodies there. So sign up for the newsletter while you're there. So we've got our initialized sound. It's a little loud, so I'll turn it down for now. And you probably hear some reverb. I have a reverb set up as a send effect over here. So that way I can take all these leads and send them to that reverb. I'm going to turn it off right now. I'll come back to that reverb in a second. So now here's our true raw sound. First things first, we want a different waveform. We do want the pulse wave, but we want it to be full square width. And then this sound starts bright when you hit a note and goes dark by the end of the note. So we're going to use a filter envelope to do that. First, we set our cutoff to the darkest point, the end of the note, which is about there. But we want it to start bright, so we use our filter envelope amount. That determines the beginning of our sound, the brightest point. And our sustain, if we turn it all the way down, the filter envelope will take us all the way down to our cutoff. 0 sustain is our cutoff. So now if we take this to 0, our sound starts at this filter envelope amount and goes down to our cutoff like this. And we want that downward motion to be quicker because we want it to really be a nice quick pluck sound. So we're going to make the decay faster. So now we've created that pluck transient. We're also going to turn it up too, because lowering the cutoff makes it quite quieter. Let's go all the way to about there. There we go. Now, one interesting thing about the actual patch on the deadmau5 track is the higher notes, these up here, are brighter than these lower notes. Now, by default, a low-pass filter, it does the opposite. It makes lower notes brighter, higher notes darker. And we can use key tracking to reverse that effect. But in this case, not only are we going to reverse it to even it out, we're going to take it even further and make the higher notes brighter, the lower notes darker. So I'm going to crank key tracking. And now our highest note is going to be brighter than our lowest note. Now, unfortunately, this brightened everything. It made our higher notes brighter than our lower ones, but it brightened everything, including our lower notes. So we need to compensate for that by bringing the frequency down, the cutoff down. And now we have what we're going for. So before we had this. The bottom notes sound great, but the high notes aren't bright enough. Turn this up, bring this down, and now just those higher notes got brighter. And then we're going to add a little resonance to give it a little bit of point. Pull that sound out, kind of push it out a little bit. Adding a little bit of resonance is a great way to sort of unflatten a sound, kind of make it more present and bring it forward in the mix. And then we just want to cut the note off a little shorter. It's ringing out just a little too much. So I'm going to bring our amp sustain all the way down. Now that's too much, so I'm going to elongate the decay. There we go. Now before it was this. Now it's just took a little bit of that end off. This is a mono patch. And then we want to spread it. So we turn on unison and we crank the spread. Now, like in deadmau5's track, the sound kind of moves left and right very subtly, and we've got that going on with this spread unison, but it's happening kind of fast. It's a little manic sounding. So we're going to slow it down by reducing the detune amount. Perfect. Now we want to bring that reverb back in. So I'm going to increase this send. I'm going to overdo it so you can really hear the reverb for a second. Now the reverb I'm using is something called Ambient. It's another free plugin. And I'm going to delete it and then bring in a new one so I can design it from scratch. And all I did was one little change. Here it is by default. It's too short. So I just increased the time. And then we don't want it so wet. There we go. So it's a long reverb, but it's not really, really wet. It's just kind of in the distance. Our sound should still be nice and dry and up front with this sort of long reverb tail in the background. Next, we have the little bit more of an aggressive lead. All right, so we have an EQ on it, but we'll come back to that. And let's initialize it. Here's our raw sound. Turn it up a little bit for now. And this one we're going to use a pulse wave too, but we're not going to go full square. This too, we want to have brighter notes up high, darker notes down low, so we're going to crank the key tracking ahead of time. And we also want this to start bright using a filter envelope and get darker. But we want it to get so dark that we can't even hear it. So we want to use the filter envelope, kind of like an amp envelope as well. We want to use it to cut the sound off. So we're going to start at about this brightness. And if we want to go all the way down to cutoff, we got to turn our sustain to 0. There we go. And by the way, we have reverb on this as well. You can hear it in the background. We have reverb on all of these leads. And it's the same reverb we're using for all 4 leads. And then we want this to be a little bit longer, give it a little bit more body. It's subtle, but it's there. Make the release the same as the decay. Just gives it a little bit more length. Now, it sounds nothing like it right now. So we're going to use filter saturation, which is basically kind of like overdrive. If you push this filter hard enough, it starts to overdrive, distort in a nice warm way. So listen. that's where we get our distortion. Now, he may use an actual distortion plugin or overdrive, but when you can overdrive a filter within the synth, it's nice. It's usually a nice, warm overdrive effect. Again, we got a mono patch here, just one note at a time. And we're going to use unison like we did the last time to spread it. So unison, stick with 2 voices, crank the spread. And then we're going to increase our detune just to thicken it a little bit. Usually the more detuned you make a patch, the more thick of an effect you get. We don't need a lot more. We don't want to overdo it, but I'm going to increase it just a little bit. It's subtle, but it gives it a little bit more action, a little bit of pulsating, a little bit of thickness. And then I'm going to bring the volume down. Actually, I'm going to bring it up. There it is. And we've already got the reverb on there. Now, the last difference is the patch on the track's got a little more oomph. It's got a little bit more sort of low mids going on. So I'm going to bring in an EQ, and you can use any EQ for this. And I'm going to boost 450. So listen to the difference with and without. With, without. Just gives it a little bit more of a ooh, ooh. And then I'm going to cut off the very bottom. This can sometimes tighten up your sound, and it's great for mixing. If you get rid of that bottom end that you don't need, it kind of clears up the mix a little bit. So we're going to make it a shelf. Going to take it all the way down. And there. And then increase this guy. So that we just want to cut kind of abruptly, as you can see. But we're just going to cut this bottom chunk off. But we don't want to affect this bump that we added here. So we give it some oomph and we tighten it up a bit at the same time. So there's that sound. Now, the next sound is actually the same sound, but an octave higher. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this synth, move it there. This MIDI right here is just the same as this, but it's an octave higher. So what we get is that. And then when you put the two together, now there are a couple differences. For this higher one, we want to reduce the volume. We don't want it to be so loud. It's got to be the layer and not the main sound. The lower one's our main sound. Good. And we want it to ring out a little bit longer than the lower one. This is a great trick. If you want a sound that's quieter to be more heard without cranking it up, you just increase its tail, increase its length, and it'll ring out just a little bit longer than the other. So I'm going to increase the filter decay and release just a little bit. So now it's still quieter, but we can hear it much better just by giving it a longer tail. And then we're going to EQ it too. Because right now, when it comes in, not only do you hear that high end, but it changes the lower patch. Listen. It's harder to hear that lower patch by itself. They've kind of blended together. Now, if that's what you were going for, this would be perfect. But we're not going for that. We want this higher one to be smaller and separate. So I'm going to cut off a big chunk of the bottom end using a shelf. Turn it down. And let's go all the way to about here. And fix it. So it's kind of steep. So now without the high lead, when I bring it in, it's not going to change the lower patch. It keeps it more separate. Without EQ, listen to what happens to the lower patch when I turn the EQ off. Here it is on. See how it changes the character? So in this case, we're using EQ to separate these two patches so they sound more distinctly different from each other. And then lastly, we bring in our trance lead. This one's going to have EQ on it too. We'll delete it for now. Synth 1, initialize. Let's bring it up a little bit. This one's going to be saw. And then to get that nice thick detune sound, we use our detune right here. This will double this oscillator and detune it. Nice, thick, and washy. But we want the tail, when you let go of the key, to be shorter. We want it to be a little bit more abrupt. So we're going to turn our amp release down. And then I want to bring out that top sizzle a little bit more. Since our cutoff's already at the top, resonance will do that. I want to bring that sizzle slightly down, so it's a little less white noisy, a little bit more sort of edgy. And then we're going to add some of the saturation, this filter drive, to give it a little bit more aggression. It's a mono patch. And then we're going to use unison to not only spread it, but to thicken it a little bit. So we're going to turn it on and go for 3 voices. And add a little bit of thickness by cranking the detune. And this is kind of a background layer, so we're going to bring the volume down. Reverb's on it. Let's hear it all together. Now, I'm going to turn off the high one so we can just hear the main lead and this trance lead. When the trance lead's added, we lose some of the body of the main lead. Listen. Suddenly that main lead, you just hear more of like the clipping of it, the attacking of it, the sort of edge of it, but you don't hear that body of it. So that means something from this trance lead's masking that main lead. Now, if you remember, with this main lead, we boosted 450. So we're going to go into the trance and we're going to cut 450. We're going to remove that chunk of body from this trance lead, and that'll allow us to hear the main lead's body much better. So that was 450. And we're going to cut it. And when you cut, you always want to narrow it a little bit. So listen to the main lead, not the trance lead, when I turn this EQ on and off. On. It's subtle, but that main lead suddenly gets a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter. It loses some of the body when this EQ is off. So again, we're using EQ to separate the two sounds. In this case, these 3 layers need to be distinctly separate. So we use EQ to cut different aspects of them out so they all play well together. It's basically a mixing technique that we're using in a sound design capacity. And that's it. Thanks for watching.